want to make sure you guys understand that there's a lot of steps that we should be taking as recruits before we're ever leading up to the FAFSA, before we're ever applying to the school. And that's really a big part of what we talk about, in addition to a lot of this. And Phil, you're one of our most senior recruiting coordinators, one of our mentors. You can probably speak about it as well as anyone as far as what steps a student athlete should be taking leading up to the FAFSA, leading up to a lot of these applications.
Yeah, and I like that you alluded to it, because there is a lot of steps we want to take, before even looking at FAFSA and before looking at a lot of the application processes when it comes to getting to college. And of course, that's as athletes, as student athletes. And some of those steps entail just making sure we're on track. It goes without saying that, when it comes to the recruiting process, we want to make sure we're on the radar. We want to make sure college coaches know how we've been performing, in our experience. And that's just not in our sport, but also in the classroom. And one of the great practices that we don't see enough is when we are knee deep in the process, we maybe communicated with a couple programs, a couple colleges, open that dialogue between the financial aid process. If we're to that point where we're an upperclassman and we're maybe narrowing down the list while still looking at opportunities, if we're engaged with any college coaches, more times than not, these coaches, they have a very fine, direct line that affiliates right into the admissions department of these colleges. So open that dialogue. If you're having some trouble, open that dialogue to that coach. Maybe they can help out with, a certain or extending a certain direction to tackle some aid. If it's an institution where, Kyle, like you mentioned before, where we're looking at merit scholarship, then that may need to go through the coach. We may need to open that dialogue, and if not, that coach may be able to point us in the right direction of who we do need to contact at the institution. Of course, assuming we may have some trouble.
100%. And for a coach, it's going to be a process. It's not going to be as simple as all of a sudden junior year, they find out who you are, they think you're a good prospect, and all of a sudden they want to go to bat for you and find a bunch of scholarship money and help you out with the admissions department and help you through the FAFSA process and help you figuring out your expected family contribution. It's really quite the opposite. These coaches have been identifying prospects online. We're very partial, obviously, to the NCSA profile, but it really has everything these college coaches are going to need to identify you as a freshman and follow your progress over the next 3 years to the point where you're leading up to this FAFSA and going through this application process. And hopefully you've built a good enough relationship with those coaches over the last 2-3 years, and they're excited about you. They want to help you through the process. They want to make everything easier for you coming into school. I know that was my process. I had full ride scholarship, academic and athletic, to play baseball in college. And I really don't necessarily remember the application process because the coaches helped me out with it. They took care of it in a lot of cases. And that's the great benefit of being an athlete, is you get a lot of help with these things. They're going to cater towards you, making this an easier process. So don't wait until you're applying. Don't wait until you're filling out the FAFSA to start trying to get recruited. Start taking those steps freshman year, putting together a profile, working on video, being proactive to get your name out to coaches, and trying to build relationships over the course of 4 years to make sure you're in a good spot. So hopefully by the time senior year comes around, you're doing a victory lap. You've already figured it out. By the time the fall of senior year comes up, you're already done with the recruiting process.